on his part.
All right, so here's a note. Kirby Smart, Georgia football coach, they play Auburn. We were discussing a little bit about some of the rivalries and various conferences that you hope that some never get interrupted and some have. Some great rivalries have been interrupted with college realignment, the conference realignment. Kirby Smart on Georgia playing Auburn every year, and also a note about the SEC going, if they ever do, or even the discussion about playing 9 conference games.
Your thoughts on the SEC going to 9 games and the importance of the Auburn-Georgia game being played every year?
Yeah, every game in the SEC is important. I mean, I get it. That's a huge rivalry game. That's a tradition that I love. I grew up in Southwest Georgia, where it's easier to get to Auburn than it was Georgia from where I lived. So I respect that rivalry, but they're all big games. And so I would hate to lose that one if that happened. I think that's speculation, but the 8-9 debate, everybody wants to have it, and I feel like we talk about it year-round except for during the season. During the season, we talk about the season, and this is the talking season, so everybody wants to talk about it. I don't have a preference. Forever, I was a 9-game proponent because it was better for our fan bases. It was better for television. It was better for increasing revenue, which is a huge demand right now on college athletics. So I like the idea of 9. My concern with the idea of 9 is, how are we picking the 12 or 14 teams, and who's picking them, and what do they value? Because I don't think we saw value in adding 9 more losses to our league last year in terms of the way they pick the teams. And, some people will take maybe resentment in that, but I don't look at it that way. I look at it as if we're going to play a 9th game, we need the right people making the right decisions in terms of who goes in.
Big Ten plays 9 games. Big 12 plays 9 games. I love Kirby Smart. I really enjoy it. There's a lot of coaches in the SEC I like to listen to. Saban, for me, was always my favorite. Adding 9 more losses to the league. You're also adding 9 more wins, and some of those could be just as much a quality win as even what would be a tough loss. If the league is very, very good, we know that, incredibly deep, and a lot of really good logos and alphas and blue bloods or whatever. I think losing a game to someone, if you're Alabama, Georgia, you lose that game, it's a loss. I don't think that hurt you as much in the end, especially when there are now 12 teams, maybe 16 eventually. I just think that when they lose a game, it seems like the talking points or the narratives is their losses they shouldn't count as much. That's kind of what I get. But I appreciate the fact what he said it. And he also said he, for the longest time, liked the 9 games because it was better for the fans.
Yeah. It's better for the fans, better for TV, better for revenue, better for everything but we must protect ourselves and force as many teams in as we can argument. That's the only thing that's keeping this from just like – this has steadily become my most resented topic is the SEC's conference games. And it would be number 1. It's quickly becoming my most resented topic outside of number 1, which is all the legal crap that we've talked about, because I just, my eyes glaze over when we start getting into like antitrust exemptions and things like that. And I try to keep up, but it's just not the most interesting thing to me in the world. This is interesting, but I'm losing interest very quickly because we've been talking about it for like 3 years. And they're saying the same things they've been saying the entire time. We'd love to, and it makes sense for every single reason, but we can't stuff 7 teams into the playoff potentially if we do it this way, because then people are going to have to eat some losses. And I get where they're coming from, but I really think they are really worried about something that I don't think is nearly as much of a worry as it should be for them.
Exactly.
I mean, like, I think that they're acting like there's some boogeyman that's just ready to like tear apart the SEC on that committee or something. And I don't think that's the case. I think that they would get the benefit of the doubt. And you know what? This goes back to, and this is why the conversations become old to me, is because what are we going to go back to? Well, South Carolina last year and Alabama didn't get screwed last year, guys. They didn't get screwed. They lost badly to Oklahoma near the end of the year. That screwed them, not the committee screwing Alabama. So I don't really want to get into all the muddy waters that we've been just sifting through already since last, December when this was decided, because here we are, we're still talking about it. But yeah, the 8 versus 9 games thing, I think that they've got a reason to sift through the arguments, and they need to be smart. But I think that they're a little bit more worried than they need to be.
I think it's a little bit of paranoia, and it's also something that perhaps they want to say but they lost to Vanderbilt, but had they beaten Oklahoma, they might get in. It was the fact that they got beat by a 6-6 Oklahoma, or eventually 6-7 Oklahoma, that kept them out of the playoffs.
They're in. SMU would have gotten bumped.
Absolutely.
SMU would have gotten bumped. It would have happened. But because, you had a worse record than them and the strength of schedule metrics. See, the thing is that I think and I'm going to do something I haven't in a while. I'm going to defend the committee. The strength of schedule metrics aren't so far out of whack that they got screwed last year. They wound up in one of the few situations in a 12-team playoff where they didn't get a 4th team in. Also, here's who I'll blame. Indiana. Like, Indiana, went through the Big Ten. Like, Indiana was the first team we've seen roll through a Big Ten schedule with one loss because of these it's an 18-team conference. There's going to be a team that most years would have 4 losses, but if you don't put any of the big-time teams on their schedule, they're going to have a great year and a once-in-a-lifetime year because they've got a new coach and they had a really good quarterback, and all these things came together for Indiana all at one time. And we'll see what happens in the future for them. But again, all right, so those things happen. Next year, it'll be something different. And when it's 16, they shouldn't have to worry about a thing. They should be saying, we'll take 16 in whatever model you want.
If you're bitching about a spot in the playoff and it's 16, my God.
Yeah, no. They've got to. And the thing is, Craig made a great point. He's this and this and this, but I'm not sure if an extra loss, it didn't help us last year. Okay. But the ACC, the Big 12 has to put up with that. The Big 10 has to put up with that. They have 9 games, has extra losses. Barely, they have far less room for error than you do. Believe me, SEC. In the future, you're going to have so many 9-3 teams in the playoff. You're going to be like, what? Maybe we need to toughen up our schedule. I don't think Mississippi State earned it, really. They didn't play the toughest part of our schedule. I don't know, but it's just kind of that's where they always kind of hedge their bets because they don't want to admit that maybe things are different a little bit now. And it's not that much different. It's just a little bit different.
But by adding 9 more losses, rather than also saying that there were some losses that could have come back to hurt them, they had 9 more wins. And some of those 9 wins that kept you in the playoff discussion if you were to play that 9th conference game.
Remember when NFTs were people tried to convince us during the pandemic that NFTs were a real thing, and a bunch of people got the wool pulled over their eyes because they were gullible and they believed, oh no, this is real money. This is going to be a real thing. And it was a total hustle the entire time. That's how I feel sometimes listening to this. It's we're being told about these scenarios that aren't quite what they appear to be. And I think when the SEC props up this boogeyman in the college football playoff is that though there's somebody out there to get them, I just think that they're pulling a bit of a trick because I don't think that's the case whatsoever. And I know the NFT thing's not a great comparison, but I stumbled across a story about it 2 nights ago, and I was like, oh, I forgot about those. Remember how much we were sold? No, really, it's not physical. It's on your computer though, and it's the original copy, and you're like, but you can just take a screenshot. No, but that's not. And every time it tried to be explained, it still made no sense whatsoever. And it was just the biggest.
So you're telling me the money that I have in my NFT is not any good?
No.
I mean, I guess it technically could be.
I thought about it, but I never did.
But it's just, but the reason why I say this is because I don't believe everything that I read. And so I think that sometimes people are out here saying things and I just look through it and sometimes I just go you're full of S. You're throwing a line out there to promote your agenda or whatever your thing you're trying to sell or whatever. And so when I hear these coaches talk at this media day or at the other media day, they all say the same kind of talking points. And so sometimes we don't need to take them at just face value. We just need to be sort through and just go yeah, he's talking a bunch of BS. And I don't think Kirby's talking just all BS, but I do think when we get into this playoff discussion sometimes there's a lot of BS in the arguments instead of going, you know what? Yeah, you just need to go that's BS and then just roll right past it. And I think at this point, when it comes to the playoff and this boogeyman and all that, I just think it's PR propaganda BS to sway the narrative, I don't think it's as much reality. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, because it's basically almost the same thing we've said over and over again, but we're having a little bit more of a discussion because of the audio that we just heard from Kirby Smart.
Yeah, and it's nothing against,
better than that.
It's nothing. I mean, no, it's not even. It's just that I just don't think that it's as much of a threat to them as been portrayed. And I understand at the same time they've got to do what they've got to do. But when I hear that talking point at this stage, it's like listening to somebody tell me about NFTs. I'm like, I don't believe you. I don't care what you tell me. I don't care what you show me. You're not going to be harmed by this. Just like this isn't real. And so that's kind of where I am when it comes to playoff boogeyman talk and reasons why we're not doing this or doing that. You just told us that it's better for television partners, it's better for revenue, and it's better for the fans. But because you can't get a seventh team in potentially, let's not do it.
Yeah.
That's BS.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's great. It's so awesome. Except there's this one, it's like the Death Star. Like there's one little hole that you can shoot the phaser in and the whole thing's going to blow up. Like, no, like it's not the Death Star. Just have can we have fun? Can we just have more games? And AC, look, here's the thing. If the SEC does it, then we don't have to tell the ACC to do it.
No,
they just will do it because then they'll be like, yeah, we've been hiding behind the SEC all this time. Now we have to do it ourselves.
And speaking of boogeyman, I do, and I get very sick and tired at this point, and I've started to point it out more when it goes too far, the anti-SEC, because it's easy to slide in that direction. They're an easy target. And they've made themselves out to be that target in many cases. They embrace being the Darth Vader of college football, or the Death Star, or the whatever, the North Star in their opinion as well. I don't want to view it as like the boogeyman because I just referred to a boogeyman. I don't want them to be that either. So there's merit for them sitting on something and stewing on it and doing what's best for their conference. But I think when you have that quote right there, it's best for everything but us getting like South Carolina at the end in a 16-team playoff. I just don't pity you, and I don't really think that's the best argument in the world if you are, in fact, ultimately trying to do what's best for college football.
There are coaches in the SEC have probably smart enough to realize that an extra conference game for them might keep them from being bowl eligible.
Well, yeah, it'd be bowl eligibility.
Not so
it might
much
be
the playoff, but bowl eligible.
But it might it might be bowl eligibility for a school like Kentucky or somebody like that in any given year. And so as far as that boogeyman goes, I think the anti-SEC thing goes way overboard. I think there are times when they basically beg for it. But at the same time, the fact that we don't spend 3 minutes on the ACC not having the same number of games does piss me off a little bit, but they don't have any power, so nobody cares. But they're in the same situation.
Nobody have you ever, even when Texas and OU were a part of the Big 12. Now, the problem is the playoff really only expanded recently. But did you ever hear that argument about the Big 12 when you had several teams that were ranked inside the top 10, 20, that they were playing 9 conference games? Hell, they had to play each other every year because it was the perfect number of 10.
It wasn't that big of a deal because there weren't 12 playoff spots.
I said that. I said that at the beginning.